things do end up on our website or on our YouTube channel, usually later the same day. So if you want to go rewatch this workshop or any of our prior workshops or any of our other workshops, they will be there. Great. So yes, as I said, this is the general operating application workshop for single and multi-year applicants. If you are interested in capacity building or any of our, it's your first time, you've never applied for a grant with CAH before, you'll want to join the capacity building workshop on Wednesday. All right. And Ben is one of my colleagues. He is hanging out in the chat today, helping us out. And he will be answering questions as we go along. And we'll have a couple of points where, we can pause for questions, but we do have a lot of information, so I'm going to take us through probably pretty quickly. It's very information heavy, but I'm going to try and get us through everything. All right, let's dive in. So we do like to start all of our public events with a land acknowledgement, recognizing the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people, the first residents of the land that would become the District of Columbia. Every community owes its existence and vitality to generations from around the world who contributed their hopes, dreams, and energy to making the history that led to this moment. Some were brought here against their will, some were drawn to leave their distant homes in hope of a better life, and some have lived on this land for more generations than can be counted. Truth and acknowledgement are critical to building mutual respect and connection across all barriers of heritage and difference. We begin this effort to acknowledge what has been buried by honoring the truth. We stand on the ancestral lands of the Nacotchtank and the Piscataway people. We pay respects to their elders past and present. Please take a moment to consider the many legacies of violence, displacement, migration, and settlement that bring us here together today. And please join us in uncovering such truths at any and all public events and to use such truths to guide the legacy of this Arts Commission. Great. All right, folks. So yes, as I said, we do have a chat open. If you have any questions as we go, like when is the due date? How do I qualify? How do I upload my work samples? What are we doing? What's going on? Anything like that, just drop it in the chat as we go. And Ben is going to do his best to answer questions as we go. If anything gets really strange or different, we'll bring it to the group and things like that. We are working also on a Q&A document that we're pulling from questions that have been asked at this workshop and other workshops. And we'll be publishing that on our website, hopefully this week. So do keep an eye out for that. We are trying to put some more information out there. Okay, great. So here's our agenda for today. We're going to start with the welcome. We did that. Yay! Already checked one thing off. So then we're going to go into the overview. I'm going to go over some of the changes and things to keep in mind as you're preparing for the 2027 application. We'll talk a little about the access, the questions, criteria, etc., etc. A lot of this should look fairly familiar to folks. If you are applying for GOS, I think a lot of folks are returning to the system, and so we have a few updates for the year, but a lot of it's fairly stable. All right, so just a brief conversation on eligibility. This has not changed, but you must be incorporated as a nonprofit as federally designated tax under the 501c3 status of the United States Revenue Service. We are going to ask for an IRS determination letter as part of your application. And we also want your primary mission focus to be in one or more of the arts or humanities disciplines as referenced in our guide to grants. And we want the majority of your activities and or services concentrated on and devoted to the arts and humanities and or arts education. A lot of this is repeat, but I do want to make a note here about the multi-year. We're going to talk about multi-year a couple of times here. If you are interested in applying for the multi-year option, you need to be a current FY26 recipient. You also will need an additional 2 years within the last 5 years. So a total of 3 years of GOS funding to be eligible. So you need FY26 plus 2 additional years. And then of course, we want 51% or more of your activities occurring within the District of Columbia, and that 100% of your grant dollars support District of Columbia personnel and programming. A lot of this is going to be nitty-gritty stuff. We want you registered and complying with regulatory requirements. We do want you to have a certificate of clean hands. We'll talk about that more in a bit. And we want you in good standing with us. Good standing, for the most part, means that you are up to date on any reports that you have with us. If you have any outstanding reports, we have probably already reached out to you to talk about it. But if you have any questions about that, if you have any concerns, do please reach out to us. I do want to note, because this has come up a couple of times, the interim report for FY26, the current interim report, is not going to impact your standing. We have also pushed that deadline back. You may have seen in your grant agreement that it was due last Friday or last Thursday. It is due now, May 4, Monday, May 4. If you need extra time, I've had a couple of folks reach out already. That's okay. You just want to tell us and you want to fill out the extension form. You should have received an update on submitting those interim reports in the new platform. If you haven't, you may have need to be updating the contact information in your submittable account. But you should find that information in the submittable account. It should be there, and you should have had that updated. And like I said, it is due May 4th. If you need additional time, do fill out the form that we have. We just need that for records keeping. So yeah. But like I said, your interim report will not impact the good standing. We're going to have another question about that. And then the other thing, I think I went a little too far. We do want your principal business office address to be in the District of Columbia, subject to an on-site visit. We do not want PO boxes, and we don't want the addresses of a board member or a volunteer. We are going to check in on that. Okay. So some additional grant restrictions for general operating support. A lot of this is very much the same. If you are applying and receive the general operating support, you may be restricted to other grant applications that we offer. The big thing is we do not want any duplicate work. So the big no is that if you are receiving GOS, you may not receive the projects, events, or festivals grant. That one's just off the table. But you are eligible, you could be eligible for arts and humanities education projects, East Arts, field trips, public art building communities, and CAP, which is our facilities grant, our capital projects grant. Like I said, we do not want duplicate work. So if you are an organization who has an arts education program and you have asked for funding that's going to cover, let's say an after-school program that works at 3 schools, that's great. That's in your GOS. And for the arts education project, you say, we want to fund this after-school program. It cannot be those same 3 schools. But if you're saying, hey, we think we want to expand to a 4th school, we can talk about that. The education and field trip grants are going to open later in the spring. We'll have some more information about that soon. But East Arts is opening today, in theory, I think. So if you are interested in the East Art grants, that is for the eastern half of the city, and you're going to want to keep an eye out for that. Our capacity building, our capacity grant CAP will be opening later this year. We'll have more information about that when it comes out. All right. So the big outline, application is open now. It opened on April 1st. It will close May 5th at 5 p.m. Incomplete or late applications may be deemed ineligible for review and funding. We do say you should read through our RFA. our request for applications before submitting your application. That's going to be on our website. We do have the RFA. Please do read through it once or twice. We do want you up to date with reporting requirements. If you have any questions about that, contact a grant manager. All applications are reviewed and scored by a panel of arts professionals, and the award amounts will vary. So, a note on the paneling process. If you apply for the multi-year grant, you will not undergo the peer review paneling process that most of our grants go through. If you are eligible, you are going to have an internal review for eligibility and completion. If you are eligible, you will receive funding based on your current FY26 award. Those award amounts are going to be subject to the availability of funds. You will not receive a larger award than you currently have. And if we do have to make an adjustment based on our budget, that adjustment will be applied equally. So, for example, if we experience an overall 10% budget reduction, then the award amount may be reduced by 10% over your FY26 award. This will not be targeted at just this program. All grant programs will be experiencing a similar funding adjustment. We do not have our finalized budget. Our budget is currently under review, but we will have a better sense of what our numbers are in the coming weeks. Okay. Any questions so far? Anything big from the chat I should answer, Ben?
No, not yet.
Great. Thank you. I am going to do a quick little check-in on a few things and get some folks checked in here as I am going. Okay. All right. I'm going to keep going then. So I'm going to do a little bit more on the single year versus the multi-year. I know we've had a lot of questions about that, but multi-year funding. You are currently receiving funding in FY26 and you are a single year grantee. So if you are opting in to FY27 multi-year, you are not required to do this. You can apply for single year again. Then you're still going to apply same timeline. There is a different grant if you want multi-year. If you are a current multi-year grantee, you will need to apply for the single year GOS. When you look it up in Submittable, there's multi-year, single year, and capacity building. You will choose single year. If you are going the multi-year out route, words are hard today, then it is a simplified application. We're going to ask for fewer things. If you have any questions about this, or if you just want to talk to someone over what path works for you, reach out to CAH staff. This is what we're here to do and help talk you through. If you are wondering if you are a multi-year grantee, then your grant agreement should say up at the top, you've got that number, GOS dash multi dash and then 5 digits. If it says multi, you are currently a multi-year grantee. You will need to apply for single year. If it does not say multi and it just says GOS and 5 digits, you are a current single year grantee. You could be eligible for multi-year. Please do not ask me if your individual organization is eligible right now because I don't know. I don't have all of your names memorized. And there are a lot of you. So we can always check if you have a question about your status. Please email us. Please send a note. We'll double check for you. Okay. If you do opt, though, for multi-year, the grant is paid out in 4 payments through the DIF system. We are still going to require an interim and a final report. And then, like I said, we are going to aspire to meet the same funding, but it is contingent upon the funds made available to us through dedicated tax revenue. So, like I said, if we experience an overall budget reduction, the awards are also going to experience an overall reduction. It will not be just this program, it will be all the programs. All right. So just in general, this is meant to provide greater stability and allow for some better long-term planning. Like I said, for eligibility, you should be a current FY26 grantee plus received two additional GOS grants over the last 5 years. You will have an internal review process. It will not be peer reviewed. There won't be notes. And then that's just how it'll go. Great. We do have a Q&A about the multi-year that is available on our website or on our YouTube page, so I do recommend that. And then, as with everything, I'm going to just say email us, contact us. That's what we're here to do. Everybody has their own situation and circumstance, and I'd rather make sure that I'm giving you the exact right information for your needs and your organization's needs than make blanket statements that may not apply to your very specific needs. Okay. Any other questions? Anything that I need to touch base on, Ben?
Doing good so far.
Great. You're doing great. All right, I'm gonna keep going through here then. So just let's go into the application here. So just some general notes that we're gonna say, keep a copy of the scoring criteria nearby when writing and write to the criteria. You want to avoid any buzzwords, you want to avoid hyperbole. If you make any claims in the application, they should be backed up with support materials and work samples. Ask someone outside of your organization to read the narrative responses and give you feedback. And try to give a complete picture of your organization and its work. Use accurate data in your application when available and where appropriate. So this is a change here. For application review and scoring, we have changed the review criteria. It has shifted. We've changed the wording, a couple of things to note here, but applications will be reviewed and scored by a panel of arts and administrative professionals according to these criteria. Each represented a part of the total score. So, first big thing, it's on points now, not a percentage. We have moved into a new platform which has changed how that is getting laid out. That's going to be unsubmittable. I also want to point out here, we used to have a section for IDEA. That has been replaced here by community access and engagement and community impact. So if you're looking for IDEA, you're going to find it in those places. So just a quick overview here. These are all in the RFA and laid out, so you have access to them, and this is what we'll be guiding panelists to review on. So we have the arts and humanities or arts education merit. Your mission and vision are supported by your work samples and support materials. Your programs, projects, and initiatives demonstrate knowledge and skills in content area. And you have the personnel with the demonstrated expertise for those programs. Capacity and sustainability. This is really a lot about your financials. So we want to see through your support materials and your financial documents that you have the appropriate oversight, controls, and governance to deliver services and programming, that you have that necessary expertise and administrative personnel to deliver services and programming. And then these last two, community access and engagement and community impact, we want to see some intentionality in ensuring your programming is accessible. And we want to see that DC residents are the core audience for your programming and services. We'd also like to see some qualitative and quantitative evaluation strategies to determine that organizational impact. And we'd like to see a commitment to hiring DC resident artists for delivering your programming and services. Right. We do have some workshops on this, highlighting culture and community in your grant application. Attendees will learn tips to better ensure their application highlights areas such as cultural impact, universal access, and community engagement, and that your unique contribution to the amplification of the arts and humanities across all 8 wards of the district. We have that workshop coming up this Friday, April 24th at 3 p.m. You will register for that on our Eventbrite page, as you will find all of our events, all of our public events are there. And this is also my plug and reminder that we do have upcoming events. We have a couple of upcoming workshops for East Arts and Projects, events, and festivals. You will also find registration for those events on Eventbrite. I do recommend checking that. Sometimes events will pop up. They don't make it onto our website. They just make it onto our Eventbrite, but do try and check that out there. I will recommend, absolutely, if you cannot make it to the Friday event, do let us know so we can touch base with our colleague who is leading that and make sure that we get materials out to you. All right. Any questions? Anything urgent, Ben?
Nothing urgent, no.
Amazing. Thanks, everybody. All right. I'm gonna check. Sorry, I'm checking folks in. I've been asked to do that by our comms team, so if that's what I'm doing every so often here. Just want to make sure we follow up with folks. Okay, great. All right, so let's talk about accessing the portal. This has changed. This is the other major change this year. So we're going to talk about all the different things that have happened there. So the first thing, you will access it the same way we always have from our website, from dcarts.dc.gov. In the drop-down menu, you can find grants under programs. There is also a direct icon link on that page. And you will land here. So if you go through the grants, you'll find this whole list of information, including our current funding opportunities, links to our application assistance and other resources, some information about paneling, always exciting, and then our general resources. So this will be our grantee directories, some of our guide to grants. This is where you're going to find additional resources and paperwork, and you will find the grant application portal links. We are now using Submittable. We are no longer using the old portal. You may have heard us call it Jungle Lasers. You may have heard us call it the portal. It is gone. We are using Submittable going forward. So you want to click on that portal with the Submittable link. And now let's take a look at it. Oh, let me pause that. That's right. I had a whole thing that I just stopped there. All right, so I'm going to pause that for a moment, and I am going to pull up Submittable real quick. Do, do, do. Let's do first. One second here. All right, let's do this. All right, so when you are into Submittable, you should find a couple of options here. So it should look like this. This should be our new welcome page. Let me make that a little bit smaller actually so I can show more stuff. And like I said, this is what we're using now. For most organizations, you should all have received an email saying that your new Submittable account was ready. If you already had a Submittable account from anything that may have been started in the last 14 years or so, then you should have just gotten an alert that it was ready, but you may not have received any information about a login name or an email account. If that's the case, you don't know who may have signed you up or anything like that, you're going to want to reach out to the customer support line. Um, if you if this was brand new, if this was the first time your organization was being added to Submittable, you should have received a link with an email and a password reset link. If you are having any problems accessing Submittable or accessing your account, you're going to want to reach out to their customer support and resource center. There are some links down here that will take you directly to them. So this is going to be, useful and valuable, but we are new to Submittable, and so we're all on this journey together. I think I have that here.
Yes. Hey, Gary, sorry, I need
Great.
to cut off for a
I
second.
know.
If anyone
I,
had asked questions in the last like 5 minutes, I missed them. I'm so sorry.
that's okay. Let me do something real quick here. Perfect. Okay. Great. So yes, so yeah, when you log into Submittable though, when you get through all of this, you're gonna find the current open applications. So we have our public art building communities, the art bank program, GOS, and then you'll find East Arts and PEF here as well. So when you're ready to apply, we're gonna click on apply. and we're going to find our overview. So we've got the usual questions. These are mostly the same as they were before. Tell us your name. A lot of these are informational. We've gotten a couple of questions about our question on artificial intelligence, which all we're asking about here is this is for informational purposes. This does not impact the granting. This does not impact the review. We just want to know. We're just trying to gather some information and build a picture of what's going on. And then after you get through that, you're going to end up in this request. So we're going to want to build your profile again. And from these, anything you have to question about your primary discipline or your secondary discipline, these lists come to us from the NEA. That's the coding we're using here. So, excuse me, just pick the one. You want to look for the one that best fits the work that you do. If you have any questions about that, do please reach out to us so we can help you. All right, and then of course, some founding date, your mission and vision, your projects and programs. This should be much the same as it was in the old application. But one thing to note here, if you have another program to add, you're going to say yes. And it will create another field for you. When you're all done, you just leave it at no, and you can move on to the capacity and sustainability questions. We've got all our usual questions here. We got our work samples, all of our documents. One thing I really want to highlight here is that we have given some acceptable file types. And it will be on this sheet underneath the field. So here for the balance sheet, it's going to be a PDF or an Excel. For the board of directors, it's going to be a PDF. For the most part, we're going to want any documentation in PDF format. It's a little more secure, it's easier to open. And if that is, if you have any issues with that, if you have any concerns about how to save things as PDF, please just reach out to us. We're very good at saving things as PDF and converting files. But like I said, most things are going to be PDF. The thing that is different, though, if I scroll all the way down here, is here for our support materials and our work samples. We do have a lot more file types that are acceptable. Part of this is we are not taking links to YouTube or Vimeo. We're not taking any external links. So if you have some of your work samples are, it's a YouTube video and we used to do a link out and it would embed. We don't have that option anymore. So we're going to ask that those files be uploaded directly. Like with other things, like with other programs or like usual, in that work sample statement, that is a great place to give us timestamps. If you have a 20-minute recording of your spring recital, but you only want us to watch it starting at minute 7, you need to tell us, please tell us in the work sample statement, and then we'll have it here. So, like I said, we do have a much broader acceptable file type here, so you should be able to upload things directly. If you are having any issues with uploading or with media or anything like that, like with the PDFs, reach out to us so we can help you or we can help troubleshoot things with you. All right. That was my exciting detour into our actual website. All right, so that's what we did. I don't need this page anymore. Whoops. I'm going to stop that screen and I'm going to go back to the screen that I actually need us on. Hopefully this is correct now. Okay. Okay. So did that little break. So just a quick another note here. Grant staff are available to review your paperwork, are available to review for materials for compliance and completion up to 1 week before the deadline. So what that means is if you want a formal review of any materials, you need to get on our schedules by 1 week before the deadline. The deadline, again, is May 5th at 5 p.m., which means you need to be on my schedule or Ben's schedule or somebody's schedule by April 28th at 5 p.m. We'll set up a time with you. It'll be great. but we just want to make sure that we have you on schedules by that time. Sorry. Any questions? Anything urgent so far? I promise we'll
Yes,
be.
there were a bunch that came
Okay.
in, so I'm kind of slowly working down. There was one, if you could go back over, Carrie, about how DC Gov funding affects the awards. Someone is concerned about smaller organizations. I'm not sure if the question is about how DC funding affects the commission budget or qualification for smaller organizations. So, Robert, if you want to come off mic and ask Carrie.
Yeah.
Yeah, the question was about whether the slides would be distributed because I saw on one slide in particular some information that I hadn't seen earlier, and
Mm-hmm.
then I heard back that most of the information in this is in the RFP, and
Yeah.
but that there's a particular thing that's not in the RFP that I'm concerned about, which is on one of the slides. And so my question in the chat was if the information on that slide could be shared in the chat, which is um, there was something on there about the 115,000 plus or
Oh,
minus
yeah.
something, and like I don't know where that is publicly distributed, but that.
I would not spend too much time on that one. To be perfectly honest, that is an old slide. And I just have not removed that particular information. We used it last year to try and illustrate how the funding might break down. It will be different this year. And we have not figured that out yet, because we don't have our budget has not been finalized, if that helps.
Well, it doesn't, and here's why it doesn't. The last year we were in the second year as a GOS. We did the 2-year award thing,
Mm-hmm.
and our funding went down again. And it's my impression that it could or could not have something to do with the limitation on overall funding. So even if it's going to be changed, I would love to know what that information is that was in use last year so I can see how it might possibly apply to this year. Does that make sense? There are these rules that actually
Yeah.
impact organizations, and the transparency with that information feels like definitely not too much to ask for.
No, I understand that. If you could send me an email, just outlining this, I cannot answer it right now because I want to make sure I get that full information for you. Uh,
I
but
appreciate that. I'm just asking for the information that was presented that's on the bottom of that slide. But if you
right.
can't do that, then, you know, then you can't do that.
Yeah, but I want you to send me an email so I can make sure I get you that information at its most accurate.
Understood.
Yeah. All right. Any other questions? Okay. All right, then I will keep moving forward. A couple of other things here, required uploads. We do want your support materials. We want your work samples. We do have an addendum on the RFA. So the support materials up to 3 internally produced items and up to 3 externally produced items. Broadly speaking, the items are going to be a category type like curriculum or reviews or letters of support. So if you have 4 letters of support, that is 1 externally produced item. Same with the work samples. We do have some addendums to talk about what types of materials best support your application. For documents of all kinds, we do want them saved and uploaded in PDF. And then just another note here on those work sample content. We want that to be our panelists review only within the 4 corners of the application. They are not directed or advised or expected to click on outside links or content. So linked websites may not be seen by the reviewers. Uh, if you have something online that you wish to share, most things can be saved or posted or screenshot. If you have any questions about that, do please reach out to us so that we can help. But do not give us a link to an external thing. We will not be advising panelists to follow those links. We do advise that our review panelists are required to review the work samples, but they may not be guaranteed to review work samples beyond a recommended number. So if you have 100 pages of files that you'd like to share, that is so great. That is also too many. We really want to focus on the curation of your work samples. You do want to clearly name or label your work samples so they can identify what they're reviewing and give any information that will help best understand the work sample or support materials. Uh, Applicants should be able to view and or play all work samples in the application before submitting. If a sample cannot be played, the next panelist will experience the same. We want to see some recent high quality samples. Sizing is pretty okay. If you have a large file, we should be able to handle it in the new system. But in general, adding more than the recommended number of work samples to an application will often weaken it. All right. As a reminder, we cannot take YouTube or Vimeo links. Please upload those files directly. We would like to have the best quality samples you have. Any good lighting, clear images, clear sound. If you do have video work samples that are longer than 5 minutes, please give your review panelists the section of the video you want them to see. So if here's a video, start it at 5 minutes and 5 seconds. This is no longer accurate for audio. Our audio samples should actually now be able to scrub and get to a start or stop point. So you can give us the whole thing now. And then in general, for any screen capture for online content, there are keyboard shortcuts for most programs. You can also use the Sketch app or snip things. If you have any questions, like I said, please reach out to us. We've gotten very good at these tools. All right. I'm just going to keep going on through here to get through the financials, and we'll have a longer Q&A period at the end. So our financial picture, we do want a couple of required documents to give us a better image of how things are working. So we want your most recently completed IRS Form 990. You may be in the middle of one right now. We know this, so we want the most recently completed one. We would like your current organizational budget as approved by your board of directors, and we'd like in the projects and programs section your projected costs of your upcoming year or the year of the grant award. We're also going to look for a balance sheet from your most recently completed fiscal year, your current organizational budget, and the profit and loss statement from the most recently completed fiscal quarter. We do have our funding source form up on our website now, so do check on that. That is it gives us a better picture of where funding is coming from. We'd also like a certificate of liability insurance for your general coverage. It should be current and it should have the waiver of subrogation and include us as a certificate holder. Oh, I went too fast. For that certificate of liability insurance, all we need is this cover page, this Accord cover page. I do not need your full policy, just need the cover page. But we do have some guidance for in the description of operations, some language that names us as additionally insured, and a waiver of subrogation. This sort of information, we do have it available to you. If you need it, if you need to send it to your insurer, please let us know. We'll send it to you. Most insurers know what we're talking about when we ask for these things. So we've got it pretty much set up as a copy paste, send it to your insurer. If you don't have it at the time of application, that is okay. We will need it for an award. We would like to have a list of your current board of directors with their roles and as best available their home addresses and wards. We'd like the resumes of key personnel, so that might be your artistic or managing directors, your arts educators, whoever is helping really make the programming happen. We'd like the roles, areas of responsibility, and as best comfortably sharing home addresses. We want our panelists to be able to assess the skill level of the arts and administrators involved in the work to be created, exhibited, or taught. So required document uploads, we're going to want your 501c3 letter of determination. We want your Form 990, the most recently submitted, and a Form W-9. PO boxes are not permitted. And we do want this to match the address that we have in the portal and in the diff system. If you have moved, if your organization has changed addresses in the last year, let us know so we can help get things fixed and updated in other systems. It's not just us who's working through this, it's going to be other systems. We want to make sure everything's aligned. It does need to be the most recent version, which is the 2024 form. And then we want that to be dated at the time of application submission and signed in ink or with an e-verified digital signature. So once again, it's going to be the 2024 version. This should match, the name should match on all documents and grant materials. Make sure you're checking the right box. Address needs to be in DC. We want that address to match on the portal and Dipson and other applications. Like I said, let us know if something has changed so we can guide you to updating the other systems. This is an organizational grant. We do need your organization's EIN. And then that signature should be ink, manual, or a verified electronic with date or stamp. Dated in 2026. Sorry, I have not updated this slide, but it does need to be the 2026 update and save it as a PDF. On that signature thing, if you are you don't have the capacity to print it out and scan it, okay. Can you open it on a tablet and sign with your finger? That's great. You just can't do it. Let us know so we can send you a signable form. We're happy to help with that in any way. We're also going to ask for a certificate of clean hands. We'd like that to be within the deadline window. We'd like a statement of certification and no organizational demographics overview form. We do want the funding form, but we do not need the ODO. So a note on the certificate of clean hands. For folks applying here for GOS, you should already have a clean hands. Either we have it or you have it on file. But to get the certificate of clean hands, you apply at the MyTax website. You're going to download a PDF. If you are having any problems, it comes back as invalid, something like that, let us know so we can give you guidance. But like I said, most of you should already have one, which is important because you can validate your certificate of clean hands and not ask for a new one. So on this page, on the main page, you're going to request a certificate of clean hands, validate, or get more information. If you have one, you can validate it. So you would select the option to validate the certificate, and then in the top right-hand corner of an existing form, you should find a notice number and an EIN. This is your EIN, so I hope you know it. But that notice number, which starts with an L and is about 12 digits long, you can validate your clean hands. And you would go through the process. There's going to be a couple of prompts. You'll use that notice number, so it'll be L, a series of digits, and then your EIN, and just keep saying yes until you get a certificate. Worst case scenario, it comes back and it says that you are non-compliant. And non-compliant just means that your organization owes $100 or more to the DC government. And that could be any number of things. It could be your quarterly taxes, it could be a parking ticket, it could be a lot of things. That will not disqualify you from the application. That's fine. If you are getting the non-compliant form and it is May 3rd, great. Upload that non-compliance form, give them a call, sort it out on Monday. We may reach out to you and say, hey, what's going on? And that's just us wanting to know what the status is. Other worst case scenario, it will say you're valid and it will click through and then there won't be a button that says you can download a clean hands form. And if that happens, let us know just so we can help from there. But you should all be able to validate a clean hands. And if you need one, if you don't know where yours went, you didn't save it, ask us. We have those and we should have that on file somewhere for you. Statement of certification. Again, we want the organization name. This is for your 501c3. We want your address. We do want to make sure our addresses are matching. If you have moved, let us know. And then this is for the FY27 General Operating Support or GOS program. I keep not updating this slide. Uh, but if you are going to apply for multiple awards or multiple programs with us, we want a new statement of certification for each application. So this one should say GOS. Sorry, excuse me. If you are going to later apply for education or capital projects, you'll fill out a new one for that. All right. So first page, we fill out that information. Fourth page, we're going to fill out the contact name. And again, we do need a signature. We've gotten really good at spotting the signature-like fonts. They will be pushed back. So if you get one past us, it's going to get caught down the line. It will be pushed back, and then we'll have delays on any awards getting processed. So, a couple of reminders here for the statement of certification. Do fill out a new statement. Don't just reuse an old file. For e-signatures, there are a lot of tools available now. Reach out to us for any questions there. If you need the certificate of insurance language, we will send it to you. We also have it on our website. We are going to ask for, we will check your clean hands multiple times during the grant cycle, but if you do come up with a non-compliant or you otherwise cannot download a clean hands, just let us know so we can help. And then yes, everything is PDF, scanning apps, lots of choices. We're here to help with that as well. And I'm going to scoot through this section as well so we have a little more time. We do have live chats. They are every Friday from 1:30 to 3. You can have multiple grant managers. We're all hanging out. We're there to answer any questions. You can come for a short time. You can come for the full time, but we do have options there. I do want to highlight April 28th. That is a Tuesday. That is also the day that you need to get on our schedules if you want an application review. But we will have a longer live chat on that day. These are really informal. There's no specific program. There's just people hanging out ready to answer questions. And then, of course, we always need panelists. Like every other year that we do this, there will be a virtual training or another training video. We will have assigned applications, work samples. You will have a couple of weeks to review and pre-score materials, and then we will have a virtual panel day to review and rescore all assigned applications. This will also be in Submittable. All of this is happening in the new system. If you are interested in being a panelist, send us a note, make sure you're on the list. We should have you. You may hear from us. And feel free to send other folks our way. And this is just some additional information about the paneling process and how you will have 3 to 4 weeks to review. And then we have our panel day. These are our staff contacts. Terrell Johnson, our senior grants officer, myself, Carrie Kleba, and Kayla Williams. Kayla is managing our capacity building cohort, so she's really specializing in those questions. If you've got new folks who are interested in applying, Terrell and I are here for most of those other questions. So yes, if you have questions about the funding and how things will be impacted, do send them our way so that we can get you a really clear picture of what we're looking at. And we should have some more information about the what our broader financial picture looks like in a few weeks when we have our budget finalized. Right. So that is there's the speed through version of everything we have through here. And I'm just gonna come to the end of this. I'm gonna stick around for a couple of minutes. We can have open question time. But I'm gonna stop the recording here, I think.